Welcome to an epic journey into the heart of the unknown. You are about to listen to Mountain of the Moon, the English translation of the Bengali masterpiece Chander Pahar, written by legendary Bibhutibhushan Bandyopadhyay. Set in the early 20th century, this is not just a story of travel but a creeping saga of human courage. We follow Shankar a young man from a quiet village in Bengal who trades a predictable life for the wild frontiers of East Africa. Chapter 1. Shankar was a boy from a remote ordinary village. He had just passed his FA exams and was staying at home. His days followed a simple routine: chatting at friends' houses in the morning, a long nap after lunch, and fishing at the Palghat backwaters in the afternoon. After the entire month of Boishakh passed this way, his mother called him one day and said, "Listen, Shankar, I have something to say. Your father's health is failing. How can your studies continue in this state? Who will bear the costs? You must look for a job now." His mother's words left Shankar deep in thought. It was true. His father's health had been very poor for several months. Providing for Shankar's expenses in Kolkata was becoming impossible for him. But what could Shankar do? Who would give him a job now? Who did he even know? At the time of this story, the Great War in Europe was still 5 years away. It was 1909. The job market wasn't as bleak back then. A gentleman from Shankar's village worked at a jute mill in Shamnagar, Noihati. Shankar's mother visited his wife to mention her son's employment, hoping she would ask her husband to find Shankar a spot at the mill. The gentleman came by the next day to promise that he would try his best. Shankar was no ordinary boy. During his school years, he had always been first in sports. He had won a medal for high jump at the subdivision exhibition. And there wasn't a center forward in the region who could match him at football. As a swimmer, he was unparalleled. He was also skilled at climbing trees, horse riding, and boxing. While studying in Kolkata, he had practiced boxing regularly at the YMCA. Because of these distractions, he hadn't performed exceptionally well in his exams, passing only in the second division. However, he possessed an extraordinary knowledge of one subject. He had a passion for poring over maps and reading massive geography books. He was brilliant at geographic calculations. He could recognize almost all the constellations that rose in our sky: Orion, the Great Bear, Cassiopeia, Scorpio. He knew exactly which month they appeared and in which direction. It was all at his fingertips. One look at the sky and he could tell you instantly. It is safe to say that most boys in our country know nothing of these things. When returning from Kolkata after his exams, he had brought a heap of such books. He would sit alone, reading them and dreaming. Then came his father's illness, the family's poverty, and his mother's request to join the jute mill. What could he do? He was helpless. He could not bear to see the sad faces of his parents. He would have to accept the job at the mill. But he understood clearly that his life's dreams would shatter. The famous center forward, the district high jump champion, the renowned swimmer. Was he to end up as a mere clerk at a jute mill? With a small tin box for his lunch and dusting clothes in his pocket, he would have to rush the mill at the sound of the morning whistle, return at noon for a quick meal, and head back until the 6 o'clock whistle signaled the end of the day. His young, vibrant mind could not even contemplate it. The very thought made his body and soul rebel. Was a racehorse destined to pull a hackney carriage? As evening approached, Shankar sat alone by the river, brooding over these thoughts. His mind wanted to fly to far-off lands. amidst 100 daring adventures like Livingstone, Stanley, Harry Johnson, Marco Polo, or Robinson Crusoe. He had prepared himself for this since childhood, even though he never considered that while such things might happen to boys in other countries, it was nearly impossible for a Bengali boy. They were raised to be clerks, schoolmasters, doctors, or lawyers. To voyage through unknown lands on unknown paths was, for them, a hopeless dream. That night, by the dim light of a lamp, he sat down to read Westmark's large geography book. One part of this book always fascinated him, an extraordinary account of climbing a great mountain in Africa called the Mountain of the Moon, written by the famous German explorer Anton Hoffmann. He had read it so many times. Every time he read it, he imagined that one day, like Herr Hoffmann, he too would go to conquer the Mountain of the Moon. A dream. The real Mountain of the Moon is forever distant. Does the Mountain of the Moon ever truly descend to Earth? That night, he had a very strange dream. Dense bamboo forests all around. Wild elephants were crushing the bamboo with loud cracks. He was climbing a massive mountain with someone else. The scenery was exactly like the Mountain of the Moon described by Hoffmann. The thick bamboo, the large trees draped in creepers, the piles of rotting leaves below, the occasional bare face of the mountain, and in the distance, visible through the trees, the snow-capped peak washed in moonlight. One moment it was visible, the next it was hidden by the forest. A few stars dotted the clear sky. Suddenly, he heard the roar of a wild elephant. The entire forest shook. It felt so real that the sound seemed to wake him up. He sat up in bed. It was dawn. The daylight was filtering through the window. What a dream, he thought. Many say that dreams seen at dawn come true. There was an old ruined temple in their village. It was said to have been built long ago by Madan Roy, the son-in-law of one of the Baro Bhuiyas. No one from Madan Roy's lineage remained. The temple was crumbling, with people and banyan trees growing from its ledges, but the arch over the deity's altar was still intact. There was no idol, yet prayers were offered on Saturdays and Tuesdays, and women left marks of vermilion and sandalwood on the altar. Everyone believed the deity was alive and fulfilled any vow made there. After his birth that day, Shankar tied a stone to the root of a banyan tree at the temple and made a silent prayer. In the afternoon, he sat for a long time in the grass before the temple. Though the place was within the neighborhood, it was surrounded by woods. Nearby was an abandoned house where a murder had been occurred when Shankar was child. The owners had left the village since then. Everyone said the place was haunted. No one came here alone. But Shankar loved sitting in the silence of the temple grounds. The morning dream had left a mark on his mind. Sitting in the woods, the image returned. The wild elephants crashing through the bamboo, the snow-covered peak shimmering in the moonlight high above the forest, marking the boundary of some dream kingdom. He had seen many dreams in his life, but never one so vivid or one that touched him so deeply. But it was all a lie. He would have to work at the jute mill. That was his fate, wasn't it? However, strange events happen in human lives that readers would find hard to believe if they were in a novel. An entirely unexpected event occurred in Shankar's life. One morning, just as he returned from a walk by the river, the wife of Rameshwar Mukhopadhyay from the other neighborhood came to him with a scrap of a paper. "Shankar, my son-in-law has been found after a long time," she said. "They sent a letter to their house in Bhadrashwar. Pintu came from there yesterday and wrote down this address. Read it, dear." Shankar said, "Oh, news after almost 2 years." He gave everyone quite a scare by running away. He did it once before, didn't he? Then he opened the paper. It read, Prasad Das Bandyopadhyay, Uganda Railway Head Office, Construction Department, Mombasa, East Africa. The paper nearly fell from Shankar's hand. East Africa. People ran away to places that far. He knew that his sister Nonibala's husband was stubborn, daring, and a wanderer. Shankar had met him once in the village when he was in the entrance class. The man was generous and well educated, but he couldn't stick to a job for long. He had a restless spirit. Once he had run away to Burma or Cochin. Shankar had already heard that this time he had left home after a disagreement with his elder brother. And now Prasad Babu had ended up all the way in East Africa. Rameshwar Mukhopadhyay's wife didn't quite realize how far her son-in-law had gone. She had no concept of such distance. After she left, Shankar copied the address into his notebook and within a week wrote a letter to Prasad Babu. Did the man remember him? Shankar was a boy from his father-in-law's village. He had passed his FA and was sitting idle. Could he find him a job in the railway? He was willing to go anywhere. A month and a half later, just as Shankar was losing hope of a reply, an envelope arrived. It said, Mombasa, number 2 Port Street. Dear Shankar, I received your letter. I remember you very well. I haven't forgotten how I lost to you in that arm wrestling match. You want to come here? Then come. If boys like you don't step out into the world, who will? A new railway is being built here, and they are hiring more people. Come as soon as you can. I take the responsibility of finding you a job. Yours, Prasad Das Bandyopadhyay. Shankar's father was very happy to see the letter. In his youth, he had been a daring man himself. He hadn't truly wanted his son to work in a jute mill. He had only agreed to his mother's wish because of their poverty. A month later, a telegram arrived for Shankar from Bhadreshwar. The son-in-law had recently returned to the country. Shankar was to go and meet him as soon as he received the telegram. He would be returning to Mombasa within 20 days and could take Shankar along with him. I hope you enjoyed the start of this classic tale. I'll be back with chapter 2 shortly. So make sure your notifications are on. Please hit that like button and let me know in the comments what you think of Bibhutibhushan's world so far. See you in the next chapter.